What's up, everybody? Thanks for pressing play today. In today's episode of Nerd Nostalgia, you're going to find Trey and Irvin doing a duo episode, sort of. We got a third special guest. We are joined by Michael from FlashpointComic on the IG community, comic book community, that is. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about speedsters. We talk who is the fastest. We talk the top 25. We go through a list. We break it down. We laugh, we cry, we have a good time. There was no crying. But anyways, I digress. Guys, please do me a quick favor. Head over to Apple Podcasts, drop that 5-star, tell your friends, family, coworkers about it. Help us grow this audience. All right, guys, y'all know the drill. Before we get started, here's a quick clip for you to enjoy.
But he's got the largest lapels on his suit of pretty much anybody I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So, and then underwear on the outside of his pants. So good.
He's a pop collar, man.
Popped collar.
Like popped collar. And it's like a deep V too, like
deep V, hairy chest.
I would venture to say that. What's up, everybody? Thanks for pressing play today and joining us on this episode of Nerd Nostalgia Podcast. On today's episode, we have a special guest. You have your normal guys, minus Brian, which thank goodness he is not on this one because we don't like Brian. He's a loser face. No, just kidding. We miss you, Brian. He'll be in on the next ones for sure. But today we have Trey. Say hi.
Hi.
And then we have Michael. Michael's a guy that I've met through the Instagram comic book community. He is a Flash aficionado, a Flash enthusiast, and I dare to even say a Flash expert. And so, Michael, say hi to the Nerd Nostalgia fans.
Hi, everybody. Thank you guys for having me on.
Absolutely, man. I was excited about this. So I, as y'all know, people listening in, am a huge Flash fan. Well, not a huge fan, but he's basically my favorite DC superhero. Silver Surfer's my favorite Marvel one, but we won't get into that. Today is all about Flash. And so, we were chatting on the Instagram and Michael was like, yeah, Barry's my guy. I was like, oh, Wally's my guy. I was like, he's faster. And so he's like, no, he's not. So we got into this little debate going back and forth and discussing who and who is not the fastest Flash. And so that kind of spawned an idea for me. And, I was like, well, let's collaborate. Let's chat it up. Let's nerd it out. And I found a list. It's a CBR.com list. It's the top 25 fastest DC speedsters. Title of the article is In a Flash, 25 DC speedsters ranked from slowest to fastest. I sent this to Trey. I sent this to Michael. And what are y'all's just initial thoughts on the article itself?
The article is it's really good. It's to me, it's pretty comprehensive for being like, hey, here's our top 25. It has, a pretty decent sized blurb about each of the different characters. So it's kind of a lot of reading. It's a good afternoon after lunch poop read. Sit down and scroll through it. Yeah, scroll through it on your on your lunch break or whatever. But the thing for me is that these two guys are Flash guys, right? Real DC guys, but then more into it, Flash guys. And that's not really been my forte in all these years. But there were so many that I had no idea who the hell they were. No idea who. Inertia. What was the one that we were just talking about a second ago? Trajectory, which in my defense, Trajectory, I read through her thing and she was only in a couple of.
Literally two
comics.
Or two
and that
comics,
was it.
Rather. Yeah.
And then she was killed off, and then so no spoilers there because it's the first one. She's number 25.
Number 25 ranked the slowest
out of all. But then Baroness Blitzkrieg, again, these are, and I don't know, they may not be obscure to you guys, but they were. I didn't know anything about them.
No, there's definitely some that I didn't know, and Michael probably knows them all because he's the enthusiast and expert, if you will. Were any of these catching you off guard there, Michael?
Kind of, Lady Flash and Trajectory. I completely forgot about her because, a lot of these that we're going to go through are just kind of oh, they were in a book or two, or they only made a small appearance. And so the article was very well written. It's just kind of interesting how they're basing their rankings because it feels like they didn't take a lot of what their, feats of strength to say were, because some of these that are on the bottom that we're going to go through, I would personally rank higher than what they are going through this. But I mean, I definitely understand why they could possibly rank without, how they did that. So
I think the way we're going to do this, we're not going to go in and describe every single person, right? Like we just gave you Trajectory. You're probably never going to see Trajectory in another comic ever again. And if you do, I mean, I don't know what to say about that, but
It's going to be a zombie.
It's going to be a zombie. And so what we're going to do is we'll go through all 25 of them, right? The way that they have it ranked, CBR has it ranked. And then from there, we'll go and give our top 3 based off of this list, based off of the information that we know, and just overall our opinion just at the end of the day. So starting off at 25, Trey had it with Trajectory. Trey, tell us about Trajectory besides being in 2 comics.
They're dead.
She's dead. Yeah, killed off after 2
I think it's a she, right?
He. No. It was a
That's
she.
a he.
It's a she.
It's a she.
Yeah. She was killed off after 2 episodes. From what I saw, it was Lex Luthor that gave her superpowers and was like, it was part of his regular people project or something like that.
His Infinity Inc. stuff. And then like just and just pulled her powers like right at the wrong time and dead. Okay.
Yep.
Move on.
The Everyman Project gave powers to different superheroes, and then at pivotal moments was like, nope, you're dead. So yeah, it cost her her life. So moving on to number 24, Reverse Flash Daniel West. Michael, do you want to take this one?
Sure. So yeah, Daniel West was super interesting actually, because I wouldn't have ranked him at 24, but he debuted in Flash Volume 41, and it was written by Brian Buccellato. I mean, it's a great story actually. So this is a descendant of Wally West, and he's just kind of down on his luck all the time. Can't catch a break. Well, he finds a Speed Force battery, and just so happens to get Speed Force powers. Well, he decides that after that he wants to go back in time and kill Wally to change the future. Well, did it work out for him? And he went to prison basically, and then I think if I remember, he got recruited by the Suicide Squad, wherein he wanted to be a good guy, wanted to be good for show the Wally West that I think the African American Wally West that he could be a good guy, if I remember correctly, and then ended up sacrificing himself from a bomb, and he's dead as well.
Yeah. So we are 0 for 2 on people that are making it through this list. That's awesome. Number 23 is going to be Lady Flash. So that's Ivana Kristina Borodin-Molotova, a.k.a. Lady Flash. First appeared in Flash Volume 2, number 7. It was written by Mike Barron and drawn by Jackson Guise? I don't know how you pronounce that. But basically, she was the Soviet Union's answer to Barry Allen. Obviously, this stuff was written back in the day. So right as those Soviet tensions were high, if you will. And so is essentially the answer to Barry Allen's Flash or the Soviet Union's answer to Barry Allen's Flash. The one part that I found the most interesting about this, because I honestly didn't know about her until reading this article and then researched it a little bit more, right? There's never been a real huge female speedster, right? Like you've had Inertia, you've had obviously Trajectory, and then you've even had Iris West proper, right? Like get powers for a few comics like here and there throughout it. But there's never been one like main focus, unless I'm missing somebody. Mike, could you think of anyone that they like had like a huge focus on, like got her own run and things like that?
Jesse Quick was what I thought was the one that got like the most kind of airtime as a female speedster, and she didn't even really get that much, only a few comic books here and there as well. And I think she's the most known speedster because you had her, and now she's in the CW show and everything else.
Mm-hmm. So, is she? I stopped watching The Flash probably about 2 seasons ago. I loved it. I thought it was probably one of the best ones out of the CW shows for sure. So she was in that, okay? Because they brought in their daughter. Inertia was the daughter, correct?
No, I can't remember her name. I stopped after season 3 because after they did The
Oh, that's
Zoom
right. She was in the
saga.
early seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about. Just completely forgot. Haven't watched it since.
Yeah. They do eventually bring, and I forgot what her name was. I don't know if they went with Impulse, because the thing with those CW shows, they'll take liberties, like they'll kind of like change up little things. So I can't remember if it was Impulse or Inertia that they went with as far as the name of Wally and Iris's daughter. It was cool. Really cute girl. Loved her character just in general in the show. She was there for a full season, learning how to be the Flash, but then at the end of it got erased. So, but interesting. Anyways, yeah, they don't have anybody. So like you have Spider-Gwen, you have Spider-Woman as far as like the Spider Crew is concerned. You have Araña, like they have like their own runs as far as comic books are concerned. And Spider-Woman is not as big as Spider-Man because, obviously it's Spider-Man, but pretty up there, pretty recognizable. And so the fact that that DC has never, done anything like that is kind of a missed opportunity in my opinion.
I disagree, but that will be for another time.
Okay. You wouldn't be a fan of a lady speedster?
So the thing is, if we look at Future State, that's what they're doing, well, a
haven't read those.
non-binary
I haven't.
Flash, and then being mentored by, I think, Jesse Quick. Actually, I think Jesse Quick was, I haven't read it. I refuse to read Future State, but
Yeah.
I remember the plot that I was told was Jesse Quick is training her son or daughter, non-binary, I don't know what to go into there, speedster to take over because Barry Allen doesn't have his powers. Wally's evil, so
Hate that.
she's now
Absolutely hate that.
teaching them to be the Kid Quick is what his name is, or his name, I don't know. So
interesting. I have both of them. I haven't read them. They're sitting in the to read pile, and so I think one of the things that had turned me off was the fact that Wally was evil, and I'm just like, I don't know if I like that, but it makes sense. It would make for a good story if you make the fastest Flash the greatest enemy, right? But Trey, moving on to number 22. Just briefly talk about it. So we have Inertia.
There's only two things to say about this.
Okay.
The Inertia's character's name is Thaddeus Thwain II, which is
Thaddeus Thawne, yeah,
or whatever. It's Thwain looks better, but yeah, the alliteration perfect. Continuing that on in the Flashiverse,
yep,
and our comics,
West.
Yeah, comics in general, and the fact that he gathers a gang and beats Bart Allen to death, so that's pretty cool too. And then he accomplishes his goal, and then he gets beat by the people that he hired to help him beat Bart Allen to death. So that's good. Those are the two things. That's all you need.
Okay. And then moving on to number 21, Baroness Blitzkrieg. Michael, take it away.
So this one is actually one of my favorites. I remember this run was in the Justice Society of America #2, run by Jeff Johns, and it was drawn by Dale Eaglesham. So basically, it's this group of terrorists that they're known as the Fourth Reich, which is a bunch of Nazi villains, and it's crazy.
Geez.
And it was her team was a bunch of like Nazi-loving supervillains. It was like, and their names were crazy, like Captain Nazi, Shadow of War, Count Berlin, Baron Gestapo, and Captain Murder. The cool thing was they brought back Vandal Savage, and I think at this point Vandal Savage hadn't been around in a while since the Silver Age. So it was really cool to see them use Vandal Savage in this way. And they wanted to, the whole purpose of doing this was that team was supposed to kill off descendants of the patriotic heroes from the Golden Age. And so Baroness killed a bunch of people, and she was targeting Stripsy's son, and J Garrick stopped her and saved him before any more blood could be shed. And after that, I don't think that we can have seen her since, because she's more of a villain known from like the Golden Age, the All-Star Squadron and all the Golden Age. So I don't think she's been shown since either.
Interesting. Yeah, I wasn't aware of again, most of these. I was like, who is this? Like even the one that I'm about to say next, I was like, I don't remember this person. So you are a fan of the Baroness then?
I am. I just like the take on it. You don't really see a lot of Nazi characters.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for good reason, right?
Well, not anymore. I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
we've had
Everything
this
changes with
discussion
the
like,
era.
and not just in comic books, but like, even in your Indiana Joneses and things like that, where it's always Nazis. It's always the Nazis.
That's funny. Moving on to number 20, we have John Fox. Who is John Fox? John Fox is the Flash from the 27th century, basically a historian. Oh, let me back up a little bit before I get into his backstory. So first appeared in Flash Special number 1 that was written by Mark Waid and drawn by Mike Parobeck. So John Fox is the basically like kind of like a future state, but not a future state. He's a future Flash, not necessarily future state Flash, right? But started off as a historian at some, I don't know, academy of some sort, Academy of Science, I think is what it was. There was a bad guy, needed help, was recruited to go and get one of the Flashes to come forward in time and help him with this evil villain. Turns out that's not what happened. He was able to get some powers, and so he ended up becoming and taking on the mantle of the Flash during that time frame. He eventually travels back in time and does hang out with, is it Barry Allen or Wally West? No, Wally West. Hangs out with Wally West and helps him defeat certain villains. I think it was Polaris and Abracadabra from starting a new ice age. We haven't seen a whole lot of this character, so I think that's why they have him ranked down there. I personally wasn't aware of them. I've never read this story. Any take on that, Mr. Michael? Do you remember John Fox? Did you read that story?
Yeah, I did. And the thing was, it was just crazy because, again, when I think of John Fox, I think of, nowadays everyone like Jonathan Fox, who they thought was going to take up the mantle of Batman.
That's who I thought too, yeah.
He was nothing special. A lot of these characters weren't, unfortunately, this is the problem with the Flash that I run into is, like in the Silver and Golden Age, you had characters like Captain Boomerang and Captain Cold, which are still prevalent nowadays. Captain Boomerang now being more of a Suicide Squad member, and then Captain Cold showing up, every so often with the Flash. Like the heroes with all of the power creep, I'm going to call it, with Barry Allen and Wally, there's really no other way to do it than add a bunch of speedsters to create that drama for them. And unfortunately, a lot of them get swept by. And John Fox was another one of those for me that just got swept by. He was just a character.
I think that's a valid point. So I've always said that the Flash, I think, is the strongest character in DC, the universe, and all of it, just because of the fact that he can time travel. They have the punch. Like there's so many things. And so I think it's very underrated. He's a very underrated character, but I think he's also one of the strongest. And so they have to, like you said, they have to create other speedsters that are equally as strong in order for them to even have any competition. Because if not, then and the problem with that is it kind of ends up being the same thing over and over and over again. It's like, oh, here's another speedster. I got to beat him and be faster. Okay. Oh, here's another one. I got to beat him and be faster. So even though Flashpoint to me is still one of the best stories ever written, it does get a little repetitive sometimes. Moving on to number 19, trade Max Mercury.
Again, I get alliteration. Max Mercury. Like I think that's what I'm supposed to do. All the alliteration ones, so y'all can keep the rest of them, and I'll just do alliteration from now on. This is an older one. Golden Age character got trapped in the Speed Force, but then came out and actually mentored Impulse, which will probably be coming up here sometime soon. But yeah, I mean, the coolest thing about this character, he's got the eye goggles. Well, not goggles, but it's like the standalone face mask with the cap. But he's got the largest lapels on his suit of pretty much anybody I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So, and then underwear on the outside of his pants. So good.
He's a pop collar, man.
Popped collar.
Like popped collar. And it's like a deep V too, like
deep V, hairy chest.
I would venture to say that he is the trashiest and or douchiest looking of the speedsters, mainly because of the pop collar and the deep V.
Deep V, i.e., he's the coolest. Done.
Too funny. Okay, number 18, moving down the line. Johnny Quick, take it away, Michael.
There's not much to say about him. He's another one of these ones that are dead. He was in the Forever Evil event. He was the evil version of the Flash and one of the main members of the crime syndicate. So I mean, I don't
That's
know.
where I remember him from. Yep.
Yeah, so he was, his speed helped him catch a lot of the heroes, and then he faced off against Captain Cold. Captain Cold broke his leg, and then Mazaz killed him, and so that's basically him.
There was a movie that was made, and it was loosely based on a bunch of stuff, but was it Justice League Crisis on Two Earths? Does that sound right?
That does sound right.
Okay, and I think he's in it. Part of the syndicate, like you said, and you have Ultraman, which is the evil version of Superman, and Lex Luthor's a good guy, and they travel over into Earth Prime, recruit our superheroes to go and fight them, and they end up having to like combine. And I think they trick Johnny Quick, if I'm not mistaken, into basically sacrificing himself.
Yep.
So they were like, "You're not faster than the Flash here." He's like, "Yeah, I am," and then starts running, and then ends up dying because of it. They're like, "Oh, sorry, tricked you." Dick move by the Justice League, by the way, but I mean, it worked. And it saved Barry, so we're good. Moving on to number 17, we have the Dark Flash, aka Walter West. Trey, little alliteration for you there. Now, this is not to be confused with Wally West. So, debuted in Flash Volume 2, number 150, written by Mark Waid and artist Paul Pelletier. Walter comes from a different timeline than Wally West. And although their lives are very, very similar, they're different. So basically, it diverges when Linda Park is killed by Cobra, making Walter West kind of go crazy and just not take it easy on the bad guys. And so kind of ventures into this Batman, I will say, kind of anti-hero, kind of grayish area. And so he'll do some questionable things sometimes. Now, Dark Flash is an older, darker version of Wally West, but it's also a different version than the one that we are used to. So he's not higher up there because I think one of the reasons that Wally is the fastest Flash is and Barry,
spoiler,
right? Well, Michael will disagree.
I know. We're getting there.
We're getting there. We're building it up. And so I think one of the reasons that, these guys are able to get it is because it's good versus evil at the end of the day, right? Good's always going to triumph because they can dig deeper, because they have meaning, they have reason to get to that next level. Whereas, greed, hatred is only going to get you so far. And so I think that's one of the big differences as far as our good guys, Barry and Wally, versus, Walter and Eobard Thawne, Hunter Zolomon, that kind of stuff there. So, yeah. Next up, we have number 16, Trey.
Rival. And I don't get alliteration for this one. Edward Claris.
Edward Claris, yeah.
This is an old one, 1949 debut. And so this kind of flows into what you were saying about how the same thing's been done over and over again, especially with Flash, is that, let's see, the Golden Age Flash, J Garrick, needed a rival, hence the name Rival. So this guy created his own formula to say that, hey, yeah, I'm my formula works. I'm just as fast as the Flash. And turns out that, yeah, he was fast and he gave him some trouble. However, his formula wasn't permanent like Garrick's was. So he was ultimately defeated. And something I thought was interesting on this list, and we've kind of touched on it a little bit, is while we don't necessarily agree with the exact order that they were put in there, they did give a reason for Rival being higher than a lot of these other ones, is the fact that he did get trapped in the Speed Force or disappear into the Speed Force. And which is the same thing with Max Mercury, the last one that I talked about. They actually state within this that, okay, yeah, they disappear within the Speed Force. So they're taking that as a test of how fast somebody is if you're fast enough to disappear into the Speed Force, then you're pretty damn fast. And so that's where he's up there. But yeah, it kind of goes back to what you were saying. You know, this is a baddie on the list, which is fine. You know, you've got to rank goods and bads at the same time. But okay, I'm going to be faster than you, so we need to come up with an antagonist. So we'll just make him a fast guy. That started in 1949. Here we are, a few years after that, still doing the
Just
same
a couple.
thing.
Yeah.
See, the problem with Golden Age, though, was when you look at J Garrick, like we all know J Garrick isn't anywhere near the top of the list.
Yeah.
So when you
I'm surprised he hasn't already popped up on this list, actually.
Well, he gets faster, because Jay Garrick never had the Speed Force when his whole Golden Age, run. The Speed Force was never a thing. So this power that he was drawing, like the Barry and Wally draw from, that make him faster, be able to do all these things. Jay Garrick was like, nah, man, I'm just going to use science and make a formula, and everything else. And the Rival actually is one of my favorite villains because of that fact of, it's like, for me, it's like a good old, like I would call them Golden Age movie where it's they're trying to outdo each other. It's not just, oh, well, my childhood sucked and so I somehow got your powers and now I'm faster. And, like a lot of these villains that they go to nowadays.
Absolutely. That's funny. Yeah. So apologies to the fans. I said earlier that in the Flash TV show that they had inertia or impulse, and that's not it. It was the next one that Michael's going to talk about here. At number 15, we have XS.
Yep. And
That's
so if I'm gonna be honest here, I completely forgot about this guy because again, he was pretty forgettable. He was introduced in Legionnaires number 0 by Mark Waid and Tom McCraw. Jenny, who's the granddaughter of Barry, was targeted by Zoom. And again, just so we can differentiate some of you Marvel guys and some of you guys who aren't Flash fans, Professor Zoom, who looks exactly like Reverse Flash, is Hunter Zolomon and not Eobard Thawne, so they're two completely separate characters. So they're being targeted by Professor Zoom, and Earth before Zoom defeated the Legion of Superheroes. After like his powers emerged, she met up with her cousin Bart Allen, so they're related, and they became great friends. And after them, they united with the rest of the Fast family against Savitar, and I think it was an event, Dead Heat, where Jenny had proved herself among DC's top speedsters. Well, obviously not, because she's number 15 in the 25 list. But she was cut off from the main timeline, and I've reread some of these stories going into this, and she was actually okay as a character, but it was one of those things where I kind of the timeline gets all muddled because she's from a different timeline where and it's just confusing with her, but she's still alive. So she really never got to see how fast she was, which it does state in the article. So she's one of the speedsters on this list that's probably lower because no one, again, a few issues and then nothing. So we don't know how fast she is.
I've seen other articles that have said pretty much a similar statement about that the potential is still unknown. More than likely, it won't be anything near the top 3, top 5, but they still say it's potential is unknown. So, and in the TV show, the CW TV show, the daughter's name was Nora West Allen, nicknamed XS. By her mother, Iris West Allen, metahuman speedster, all that kind of stuff. So they kind of, like I mentioned before, they kind of take their liberties as far as what they're picking and choosing to do for these speedsters in the CW shows. Obviously, like in Arrow, there's no Ra's al Ghul Arrow story arc. Like he never becomes the Demon's Head, which was cool. It was a cool thing that they did because that's one of the coolest characters. But that I don't think I ever remember reading a story like that. Not for the Arrow, for Batman, yes, but that's a whole different thing. So yeah, they take a lot of liberties. But I really liked the character. If you get a chance, look her up. I don't remember which season it was that she was in, but look up Nora West Allen on Google. I'm sure it'll pop up and it'll tell you which season it is. Really good season, actually. I liked that season a lot. So anyways, Moving forward away from XS, we're getting to the top of the list here. We're at number 14. And I think this is one of the coolest of all the characters as far as the suit design is concerned. And also just in general, like a concept of this character. We have the Black Flash. Also pretty much death, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. He's the Grim Reaper of the Flashes, right? Anytime that somebody's knocking on death's door, as far as a speedster is concerned, Black Flash shows up. He's there to whisk you away, take you, to the Speed Force or, Speedster Heaven, I guess. I don't know what to call it there. Speedster Hell, I guess it would be at that point. Basically, he's trying to make you one with the Speed Force again. And so one of my points as to why I think that Wally is the fastest is because he's outrun the Black Flash. And so that just comes down to what we were talking about earlier. It's you have to find that next level that he's got to beat. And so outrunning death is definitely going to be one of those. And so it just so happens that Wally got, I think, a lot more of these like next level type of things, because DC's problem is they always have to continue one-upping. After Crisis on Infinite, I was about to say podcast, on Infinite Earths, it, they have to keep trying to go to that next level. And so it's kind of the issue with comic books in general, is like trying to find that next story. But really, you don't always have to have that. Like, it doesn't always have to be world ending. Like, you could give me a good 6 issues of like a solid story, and I'm happy. Like, it doesn't have to be death defying. It doesn't have to be all this, grand event. It could just be something normal, like tell me he went to go get coffee or something, and there was a bad guy and he saved, a baby, it doesn't always have to be like this big crisis, earth ending type of event. This was written by, he was written in The Flash Volume 2, number 138 by Grant Morrison and Mark Miller. I want to say I have the trade paperback over here of this, and it's a great story. Great story.
Well, the problem.
Yeah, go ahead.
See, the thing that I have with the Black Flash though was during this time. So see, the main reason why I disagree with Wally being faster is that during this time, it's the same reason why they, J Garrick retired and then they brought in Barry Allen to usher in the Silver Age. Was comics were, still at a low during the end of the Volume 2 run. Barry wasn't, selling as good as he was at the beginning of the Silver Age. After 350 issues, though, it's kind of hard to keep a story going. So they killed off Barry, and they were trying to make, so who else would take the mantle? It's just like what they did with Nightwing and the Teen Titans. Wally, they were just continuously trying to write to be a substitute for Barry, but obviously it didn't work. That's why they brought him back, because for me personally, Wally was way better as Kid Flash than he was trying to take on the mantle of the Flash. And it was a lot, they were trying to, again, take what they did with Barry, transcribe it to Wally, and then now add some twists and turns. And I think the Black Flash was honestly the best thing to come out of that
Grant Morrison type of era. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree. I like it. I like that that thought process. You mentioned Kid Flash, and it just made me think of and Nightwing. You mentioned that's what they ultimately should have done. They should have been able to keep Barry Allen, keep him as the Flash, and then maybe evolved Wally West into something else. I don't know what what you could call him, but like some type of like slightly different hero. But I guess that would be difficult having two good speedsters. Yeah. Maybe he would have gone to a different world and been there. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities, but yeah, I totally dig on your point. Right behind you on that one. Moving forward, number 13. We mentioned her earlier.
Jesse Quick.
Yeah,
Jesse Quick. First appeared Justice Society of America, number 1. And she is the daughter of Johnny Quick, who was in the Golden Age. Interesting kind of, and yeah, we did touch on her a little bit, that she's probably, and being in the, I guess pretty much the top half of this list. She's pretty fast. And but kind of an interesting storyline that she kind of had some friction with Wally West, in that Wally told her, hey, I want you to take over the Flash when I'm done. And it was really because he said that to her to get Bart Allen off his ass to take over the mantle a little bit later on. And she didn't take well to that. And I probably wouldn't either. That's kind of shitty. So she got her power stolen and this and that and Savitar and this and that, and her dad dies. And so that's kind of her thing. But, like we talked about it, I don't know, as of recently, if they're going to continue to develop her into, a major speedster, being a major female speedster. Will she take on the mantle of the Flash or something similar? But yeah, she's a chick, so that makes her a little different on this list. And she's a chick that's higher in the list. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I would have rated her way lower, but that's fine. That's just me.
I do like her. I've always liked her outfit. I don't know what it is about red on female characters that I just enjoy. Like Spider-Woman's costume, I think is one of the coolest. Like I like it better even than Spider-Gwen's, white and pink one, which that radiates female power and that kind of stuff. But just something about the red, just it works, Lady in Red.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
See, the problem with her though that I have was like her whole like character, in the story. I remember her like Wally knew that he was going to be gone, so he told her, he's like, I want you to be the Flash. Well, the whole point of him doing that was basically to try and motivate Bart, because I feel like deep down Wally knows like dude, Jesse's not going to be my true heir. Like Jesse ain't going to do crap. So like maybe if she takes this mantle, it will motivate Bart to kind of do better. And then I felt like they kind of stuck with that and they used her way too much. But she's a cool character. Don't get me wrong. Just not like, even it says in the article, she's one of those speedsters that you get passed up when you're looking at the top speedsters. It's because she hasn't done anything noteworthy other than fighting Savitar.
Yeah. Also a cool character, by the way, especially in the show. Really dug how they portrayed that character. Obviously, again, taking liberties and doing things a little bit different than the comics, but still really cool. We talked about this gentleman earlier. He is the Flash. If you really want to get technical, he's the OG, the number one. At number 12, we have Michael.
J Garrick. So J Garrick, this is kind of touchy for me because, again, like I mentioned earlier, so J Garrick didn't get his power from the Speed Force. He got his power from, being a scientist, and he knocked himself out with some fumes, if I remember correctly, and then found out
he got high, man.
And the thing was that he was part of the and people forget about the Justice Society, and they forgot about villains like Shade, the Fiddler, and Thinker, whom J Garrick all, fought with, the Golden Age Green Lantern and everybody else. J Garrick has been around for a long time. And if the Speed Force was a thing, from the time of the conception of the Flash, I think he should be in the top 3, definitely. But he's definitely at least top 5 of speed, because even not being born with the Speed Force, he can still enter it and he can still break that speed, which for me deserves a lot to be desired. And the helmet is just his outfit is the best of the Flash. Like I love Barry, don't get me wrong, but the helmet and the old getup from like this Ooze's 40s and 50s, just best outfit of all the Flashes.
Of the Flashes, I'll give you that. It's pretty freaking cool. You know who I think has the coolest outfit out of everybody? Reverse Flash, man. Reverse Flash, the yellow, the black center with the red, it just goes. I'm like, man, why couldn't they swap that out with the Flash? I really dig that look. Like I even like it better than the next guy that we're about to talk about here. He's a Kid Flash at number 11, Wally West II. He has the yellow, but it's just something about the black and red that just accents well as far as the logo is concerned there at the chest. You have a Kid Flash, which does have that yellow, but it's a red circle with the red bolt and then the white in the middle. So not quite the same, but still pretty cool. I don't know what it is about the yellow that just makes it look very, very cool. I think the yellow and black just accents really well. But Wally West II, aka Kid Flash. So first appeared in Flash Annual Volume 4 Numero Trace, written by Van Jensen and Robert Venditti, drawn by Robert Friends and Brett Booth. So Wally's the son of Daniel West, got some powers from the Speed Force, or not from the Speed Force, from his future self. Really interesting that they would name another character. Again, we have Wally West, we have Wally West II, we have Walter West. It's like, guys, like that can get a little bit difficult. The only thing that's going to
it's all about the alliteration, man.
Alliteration.
Stick with it.
Yeah, call him Wallace West, man. Like, make it a little easy for us. It's like Wally West. Like, which one? 2, the one from the other Earth, or regular? So that's my only gripe with Junior here. I guess I'll call him. But Wally, it's really a really interesting character. He hasn't been around too long. So again, kind of that untapped potential. I feel like that's the case with a lot of the characters that just kind of come in. They're like, oh, we don't really know his full potential. I think this character is one of them. Although I still don't think that he's going to be as fast as his namesake. I think he's going to be probably right around where he's at, honestly. I don't think he's going to go further than what it is. But maybe I'm wrong. He's been on the Teen Titans, gotten kicked out. Obviously, the Flash, his namesake, Wally West, is his idol. I don't know what else to say about Mr. Wally West II here. The story arc with Godspeed, which is going to show up on Godspeed's another cool character. But yeah, they have a little run in there. So, anyways, anything to add, Michael?
See, I don't know how political you guys are, and I don't want to offend anybody, but again, this character was more of a political statement to me that, which he was a good character too. He had some really good runs and some stories, but some of these characters just felt like they were added in to make some sort of political statement. And this is one that I definitely feel like was not necessary. And if he didn't exist, the Flash stories would still be completely okay.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect way to say it. I agree. I do like the character though. I will say that.
No, I mean, he's a cool character, but he's probably one that if he would have taken on the mantle to go onto the Teen Titans and he didn't like participate in the main Flash run, but like replaced Wally in the Teen Titans, would have been okay. Like would have been better,
Yeah. Yep. Fair enough. Trey, moving on to number 10. We finally reached the top 10 here.
Top 10. Bart Allen.
Nice.
Bart Allen has been everything. Started out as Impulse, then became Kid Flash, and then became Flash. Died, and then became the Black Flash. So really, so it's Bart Allen, aka Impulse, aka Kid Flash, aka Flash, aka Black Flash. So this is a long run. This is a lot of different things. And is a part of that family, Barry Allen's grandson, things like that. Which is interesting that I'm doing this one because it was Jesse Quick that was kind of put up on that pedestal for him to kind of get off his ass and take the mantle. Even though I feel like he's done a lot. He's done a lot. Like you're graduating. You could go from Impulse to Kid Flash to Flash, and then obviously you die. That happens a lot in comic books. But
you come back. It's like you're never really dead.
You're never really dead.
Trajectory.
There's
We're looking at you. You have a chance to come back. Don't worry.
Who's that?
Trajectory.
Oh, Trajectory. Yeah. There's always. So you're telling me there's a chance. Yeah, unique relationship with the Speed Force, and again, we're getting in the top 10. I don't know, Michael, what your thoughts are on if this is a accurate judgment on speed wise, but I guess we'll have to get through them, and then you can kind of.
So for Bart Allen, I think the main reason they put him as high up as he did is just like you said, he was everything, you know what I mean? Which is quite a feat in itself, where not only did he take, like, he was his own person, now he was he took on the mantle of the main hero. Then he was the villain, and so I would put him in top like 12. I mean, I think top 10 was a good spot for him actually. Because I don't think he has some of the feats that the other people did, but yet just
He's
what
done a lot. Yeah,
was good enough.
yeah, that's fair. No, valid assessment, I think. Nice. Okay. And so moving on to number 9, and I'm going to let you talk about it. I have my own. If number 9 is number 9, I think it should be replaced by something else. But go ahead, tell the people who is sitting at number 9. It's a bird.
Number 9.
It's a plane.
According to this article, is Superman.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, Superman isn't a speedster. Superman isn't my forte. But he did race Barry Allen numerous times, and it was the first one was the world's finest 199 or Superman. No, it was Volume 1. Sorry, 199, and they tied, and then ever since then Barry's beaten him. So, and then when you look at Rebirth, towards the end of Rebirth, where Flash and Wally were having it out, the Superman couldn't even touch their speed. So, I mean, I guess it makes sense. I mean, he's not a speedster, so it's kind of why they put him in this article. But he is fast enough to go on this list. He is fast enough to go on this list.
He is fast enough to go on this list. He should not be this high. Also, if you're going to put him this high, you should technically put Supergirl ahead of him, because from what I've always understood, Kara is always been faster than Superman was. That was like one of the few attributes that she had that was better than Superman, right? So I hate that they, took that away. Also, yeah, when you compare the speeds, Superman isn't even anywhere near, Barry or Wally or even Jay. I want to say Jay's even beat him in a race before. So that's my gripe against that. I think one of my favorite races, I want to say it was DC Rebirth number 3, maybe. I could be wrong about this, but basically, gosh dang, I can't even remember if it was Barry or Wally in this. I mix them up. One of the Flashes has to basically knows that they have to offer themselves up in order to save them. And Mr. Goody Two Shoes is like, no, I'm not going to let you do that. This is my way or the highway. And so they're racing and they're having this conversation. And he's like, I've raced you before and I've even beaten you sometimes. And the coolest line is he just looks back at him. He goes, Clark, those were for charity. And just boom, takes off to a whole nother level, just leaving him in the dust. I'm like, thank you. It's solidified. Superman is not a speedster. He's an overall great, superhero, the untouchable one, if you will, but he is not a Speed Force candidate. He's not on their level. So
I mean, he is fast though. So I mean, I think where they put him above these characters, J Garrick being J Garrick is one of the tricky ones because again, him getting into the Speed Force is a newer thing. So, and the Black Racer or the Black Flash should be faster than him, but those two are and the Rival, because the Rival can keep up with J Garrick. I think those are the only 3 characters that kind of are where I disagree with putting Superman above them. But where he sits on the list, I mean, it's kind of hard to deny because he has feats of speed as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't put him above Bart Allen though. Personally, I think Bart still would still get him, but I digress. Moving on to what I think is one of the coolest superheroes. One of the coolest villains to come out of basically all of Flash lore. And I don't know if you agree with me on this one, but number 8 is going to be Godspeed, a.k.a. August Hart. Just super cool looking character. Number 1, we're going to start off with that, okay? Solid white, has a little bit of gold on his, body, if you will, to show the lightning. And he debuted in the Flash Rebirth Volume 2, number 1. Created by Joshua Williamson and artist Carmen Di Giandomenico. That's Italian for you right there. Godspeed is a formidable new addition to the Flash's Rogue Gallery. Started off as Barry Allen's detective partner. Sometime later, there's it's like a murder mystery, right? That it starts off. And so whenever they threw this in, I didn't see it. I was like, whoa. So it threw me for a loop. For the time, Hart acts as Flash's partner, unbeknownst to Barry. Hart is also a vigilante known as Godspeed, an anti-hero desperately seeking vengeance for the death of his brother. Eventually, Barry finds out and confronts Godspeed over Godspeed's violent ways. The conflict ends thanks to Wally West 2, who helps Barry incarcerate Godspeed. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. He's a super cool character. I think we are going to see Godspeed a lot more in the future. I would actually love to see a story arc where you have Reverse Flash, Godspeed team up and try to take down Wally West, Barry Allen, Kid Flash. Like, I want to see that story arc. So I think there's a lot of untapped potential with him for sure, just on a writing standpoint. And it makes sense because he's the newest character, the newest big bad as far as the speedsters are concerned. Michael, give me some thoughts on Godspeed.
Definitely a lot faster and deserves higher up on this list because if you remember if you remember reading it, he did one of the only characters that I remember. He was two places at once, so he could split himself up into two bodies, and no other speedster could do that. So I definitely think that he deserves a lot. I mean, higher on the list than what he was. Great character. Also, my favorite character to come out of the Flash Rebirth run. I mean, in terms of, because I don't want to call him a villain, because towards the end there, you know, his intentions were good, but he reminds me. I hate Marvel, but he kind of reminds me of the Punisher. Like he's going out there, he's willing to do what needs to be done to get to avenge what he loved.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a lot of characters didn't do that, which made him better. And I think he was a great character and was way faster than what they've given him credit for.
That's fair. No, I like him. He should be higher. I agree. Yeah, just a cool character all around. If you haven't read it, guys, that would be one of my suggestions for the Flash. I guess we could do that here at the end. We'll talk about what we would recommend people to read. I already know what mine is. It's probably similar to what yours is as well. Moving on to number 7, Trey.
Savitar. I got some alliteration. Savitar is actually kind of cool. This he's an old baddie, right? So it went, Godspeed being kind of a baddie, but this is this is an old baddie. So you got the new one in Godspeed, then you got Savitar. Interesting, I guess, genesis being that his plane was struck by lightning, so now he has superpowers. His superpowers are actually neat, and I think that there could be a lot done with this, is that he was able to learn things that the good guys weren't able to do, or maybe just didn't want to do, which was the ability to transfer speed into objects and people. Now the super healing part of that too is kind of cool. Like I can super heal like pretty much instantaneously. That's neat. But that's kind of been done before, but like the transfer of speed into objects and like other people and stuff like that is pretty cool. And I think that that's something that you could definitely kind of expand on. I think right now he is in Rebirth number 1. Yeah. So in Rebirth number 1, looks like he's dead because he was disintegrated after Barry Allen touched him. So we'll see if he's going to come back or anything at all. But he was a big bad, right? Like in a good big bad. Like he had his followers. What were they called? The Thunderbolt agents. So that's cool. So he has like an army and like he can do this cool stuff. And so he has an army that he can give speed to. That's kind of cool. Now, while those people may not be as fast as especially some of these ones that we're coming to, because we're in the top 7 now, but definitely if you have a legion of fairly decent speedsters, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think that this would be a good one to bring back. And again, I can't tell you, first appearance being, in volume 2, number 108. So been around for a while. Can't tell you what he's up to now because like I said, I don't keep up with it as much as you guys do. But I don't think he's been seen.
I haven't seen him in anything. He was in the show, right? They did a version of him in the show, but I don't think I've seen him.
Rebirth 1. He got killed by Barry because you remember in Rebirth 1 when they were doing the Speed Storm where everybody was getting Speed Force powers. The Savitar just comes out of nowhere and is like, "Hey, I'm back. I'm ready to take everyone's speed." And then Barry Allen touches him, and then he just dies. So
yeah,
kind of he's gone right now.
But no one's ever actually dead.
Yeah, there's always a way.
Especially speedsters. Speedsters,
right.
That's definitely the truth.
Speedsters and Wolverine. I feel like Wolverine dies like every other series.
Gosh, yeah, that's true.
Moving on to number 6, and I do not agree with this list. I don't think he should be at number 6. He should be higher, in my opinion. Michael, tell the fans who we got. Tell the listeners.
So Eobard Thawne, the original Reverse Flash, not Professor Zoom, not the wannabe. He is the OG Silver Age Reverse Flash. Mm-hmm. Originated in Flash 139 and has been a pain in Barry's ass ever since. He is most known as Barry Allen's arch enemy. He should be number 2, honestly, because 6 is way too low for him. So the thing with Thawne, though, is that, he is so unpredictably evil. He was what pushed Barry Allen to do the cause Flashpoint. So in theory, Eobard Thawne caused the New 52. I mean, if we want to get technical there, because Eobard Thawne and his actions, he caused Barry to create the Flashpoint and create the whole entire New 52. He created the negative Speed Force, which was,
that in itself should rank him at number 2. Like, he created his own Speed Force,
And he it's just I could go on and on. He's my favorite villain. I'm a generic Flash fan, but all of the grief that he has caused Barry Allen over this time in comics has just been. It's been better, it's better than Joker. Joker is the same story over and over. Batman won't kill him. Batman, but the difference is that, up until Josh Williamson's run, no matter what Barry did, he couldn't kill Eobard Thawne because he was a paradox. So there was always a version of Eobard Thawne running in the time stream. So it didn't matter if Barry would have snapped his neck 20 dozen times. There would have been another.
There's another one.
But that's it. I could go on and on for hours about Reverse Flash because he does not deserve number 6, especially looking at this list and the ones they chose above him. But.
Literally, that was going to be my first comment on this. And I'm going to have to read directly from it because it doesn't warrant it. They definitely should have these flipped. And I think who is at number 5, Black Racer, should actually probably be. I'd put him at 12 or something like that. I wouldn't put him where he's at. But the Black Racer, otherwise known as the God of Death, made his debut in God's number 3, written and drawn by Jack Kirby. Like the Black Flash, the Black Racer's death personified. However, the Black Racer isn't an impersonal as some physical manifestations of death. Rather, he serves a master, most notably Darkseid. It's a big bad. You know who that is, everybody. That's Superman's, I don't know, nemesis, I guess, to an extent. Lex Luthor is, I don't know. Who's proved capable of being the Black Racer under his control. During Darkseid War, the Black Racer was used against Darkseid by the Anti-Monitor when the Black Racer merged with none other than Bart Allen. The Black Racer ended up killing Darkseid, much like he did during Final Crisis. Yeah, I mean, that's I'm going to sum it up there. I don't want to go and talk about it anymore. Shouldn't be this high. Shouldn't be. I guess maybe the Fuse version with Bart Allen. Okay, I'll give you that. But I don't think just the Black Racer alone should be here. But I digress. Moving on, Trey.
I would like to say one thing. I honestly think the only reason why they gave the Black Racer, which is a glorified version of the Black Flash,
literally,
because he has the size, was because he did kill Darkseid. I'm just saying, killing Darkseid is no feat. One of which Superman has barely done himself.
Okay.
I can understand where he is on this list. Not saying that I necessarily completely agree, but not very many people have killed Darkseid, and so I mean that's just where I that's all I would like to say. Is I'm not saying I completely agree, but killing Darkseid should be noted as a highly.
You're right. You're right. I should have focused a little bit more on that. However, I will say this: Batman, who has 0 powers, has given Darkseid a run for his money, mainly because he just outsmarts him. But that's that's that whole Achilles Odysseus. Achilles is Superman and has the gifts of the gods, and Odysseus, uses his wits, and that's what Batman did, and with his beam, got him to hurt himself, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, okay, fair enough. Now, number 4, Trey, tell us about
Hunter Zolomon,
AKA Professor Zoom
and Reverse Flash. He's gone by both.
Yeah, but he's Professor Zoom.
But okay.
Because I agree with Michael. Eobard Thawne is the Reverse Flash. Even
fair.
What is it, Daniel West? I'm like, you're not Reverse Flash, bro. Like, okay,
right. I mean, that's fair.
It's yeah, but continue. Sorry.
So, yeah, okay. So Professor Zoom and Reverse Flash. Okay, we'll say it this way: Professor Zoom and Reverse Flash. He was introduced to the DC Universe, Flash Secret Files and Origins #3. Kind of a strange origin, which is interesting. Like you got to change it up a little bit. He had his father was a serial killer, right? So he was like rebuffing against that, became a criminal psychologist, or became obsessed with criminal psychology. That's where he meets Wally West. Zolomon gets into an accident, is paralyzed from the waist down, and asked Wally, "Hey man, can you go back in time and fix this up for me?" And Wally's like, "Nah, I mean, it sucks. I'm sorry, bro, but I'm not gonna go mess with the time stream because of this." So he goes out on his own thing, and he gets his powers from a cosmic treadmill. So for the non-Flash people like me, I have no idea what the fuck a cosmic treadmill is, but it sounds amazing, and I'd probably have some calves for days. But anyway, cosmic treadmill, and he gets his powers. So then he decides to start fucking with Wally, because he didn't do what he asked him to do and go back in time. He's going to kill his wife and all that kind of shit. Not good. So he doesn't have any connection to the Speed Force. And so again, you guys are going to have to give me your thoughts on where he lands on this list. But he uses localized chronokinesis, which is basically time travel that makes him look like he's got super speed, or gives him super speed, but it's just basically time travel. Anyway, kind of interesting, right? Like, get away from the Speed Force. He is a bad guy, I don't think he's the baddest of the bad. He's not like some of the other ones that we've talked about on this, but he's still a thorn, right? And he kind of does it his own way, which is almost like a Garrett thing, or Garrick thing for in this regard. Just kind of does it on his own with the help of a cosmic treadmill. Like, I'm just picturing that in my mind without actually looking it up. I didn't want to. I just kind of wanted to talk about how ridiculous that sounds.
The cosmic treadmill is very ridiculous, because basically, if I remember correctly, it was before Barry could travel through time with his speed. It's basically just this treadmill that collects cosmic rays, and so if you run forward on it, you'd go forward through time, and if you run backwards on it, it would be negative, so you'd run through backwards in time. And so there was a story where he would become a living magnet because of all the protons and stuff that would be caused from him going through time. It's actually pretty funny. It is hilarious to see him running on it until they actually made it so he doesn't need to anymore.
It's like they pulled from the Time Machine.
Yeah.
And that's what they're basing it off of, I guess. It's too funny.
But to answer your question, Hunter Zolomon is way too high on this list. I disagree. He is pretty evil, though. I will say, out of all of the characters that we've talked to, the most evil would be. See, Savitar wasn't necessarily evil. He just wanted to rule the world, like typical bad guy fashion. He wanted to have a huge cult following and wanted to, he didn't want to die, so he wanted to collect everybody's speed. He was more selfish than anything. Like Zolomon and Ebarthon, are pretty
They're
similar
genuinely,
characters,
yeah.
except for their motivations are two completely different things. And what other villains did we go through? Because there wasn't really many villains on here. Black Racer was okay, but again, it was just
they were just doing their job, if you will.
Yeah,
Baroness, Hunter, and that's why people get them confused too. Hunter and Eobard, number one, both being called Reverse Flash, obviously messes with people.
Yeah.
Their outfits are literally the exact same, and also they have similar backstories and motivation, different but similar. And I think they definitely are pretty messed up in the head, man. Messed up in the head. Moving on to number 3, we have. Is it my turn? It's my turn, right?
No, my turn.
Oh, go ahead then.
He's like, it's my turn. I'm taking this one.
No, I don't. This one has no so number 3. I'm already.
Actually, hold on. I'm gonna switch up the order. Trey, take this one. So this way we can end with him having number 2, and I'll have number 1.
Iris West the second. So, and I was already hearing some grumblings that in the top 3 we have Iris West, who is Impulse, aka Impulse, Volume 2, number 225. One of Wally West.
A new name, Iris West the second. Like, come on, man. Like,
I hear. Yeah, here's our second. Second.
Just confusing us again.
Wally West's twin children, Iris and Wally. Wally second, Iris second. Yeah, that's confusing, and especially for kind of a noob like me, that's very, very confusing. Age at a rapid rate, and Wally embraced how quickly she was maturing and decided to mentor her. She did prove herself against some of the Flash's most formidable foes, including Gorilla Grodd and Spin.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think one of the cool things from this character is the fact that she's inheriting her powers. She like her brother, right? They inherit their powers, and so I've always thought that was a cool concept. I think the future of DC shouldn't be continuing on and doing Bruce Wayne stories, continuing on and doing Clark Kent stories. Make it about their kids. Tell me about them. Develop their characters, make them grow up, and show me that. I want to see that. And you can even still have Batman and Superman and Flash in the background, but show me these other characters and show me their enemies and show me what they have to go through.
I mean, I think they do that. They started doing that with the Teen Titans stuff, and then I think the best one though, that DC did anyway, was Batman Beyond, right? And taking because Bruce Wayne is still a pivotal character in that story.
Terry McGinnis.
Yeah, you put Terry into the shoes of Batman, and then you have Bruce as the kind of the mentor. And then, so what would it be from Terry's perspective, maybe after Bruce is gone, and then, going forward to, either Terry's offspring or whoever he decides that needs to pick up the mantle. And it'd be kind of cool to see Terry as the grumpy old man.
Yeah.
And but that gets pretty far in the future. I mean, Batman Beyond was already set pretty far in the future, at least from Gotham standards. But I agree. I mean, but again, and name them something different. There are a bunch of names out there. Quit with the seconds.
There's literally millions of names.
Even though I'm a third, my dad's a second, I'm a third, and I have a fourth. So it's, I mean, that's fair, but still.
I'm also the third. That's funny. I am also the third.
Are you? Yeah, I'm the third. That's where the Trey comes from.
Yeah.
and then my son is the fourth, and he's Quaid. So
that's cool.
Anyway.
Would you name your kid the fourth? Would you keep the tradition going?
That's the plan if we ever have a boy. But
nice. Fair enough. So, any thoughts on this? I don't think she should be this high. That's my biggest thing. Again, it is really cool.
I think the reason why they put her this high is the potential, and that's fair, because it's like, we were talking about Garrick, like he was never. I mean, maybe now he is because he's able to tap in the Speed Force and stuff like that. But when he was written, there wasn't that possibility. And again, this isn't like most likable characters. This is supposed to be a true fastest thing. Again, there's going to be disagreements, but the idea is that while she may not be able to beat number 2 or number 1 right now, there's a possibility that she could, maybe she does take up the mantle of the Flash at some point in time, and ceases being Impulse and becomes the Flash or whatever. But
Lady Flash, man, give me that. I want to see it.
Sure. That
do it with Iris. Do it with Iris. I think there's that possibility. I think there's something there, especially in today's current environment where we're starting to put a little bit more emphasis on our ladies, in our lives and women empowerment and that kind of stuff. Now, if you go like the Captain Marvel movie route where it's like forced down your throat, like, hey, she's a badass. Look, she's a badass. That's not cool. But whenever it's like,
it's got to be subtle. It's got to be subtle. Like,
got to be subtle. So, what is Black Panther's bodyguard's name? Okoye? Am I saying that right?
I think that's right. I think you're right.
Okay. Whatever. She's a badass. She's a badass, but they're not forcing that down your throat. You're like, that's just a badass. Like, like I don't have to say anything. Wonder Woman, also a badass, not forced down my throat. I felt Captain Marvel, that's what they did. They forced that. They forced that stupid scene in Endgame as well. Where the A-Force essentially has to like, get it done and like get to the other side. But that when it's forced, it's not good. Like Black Widow, another example. I think she's a badass, but at no point where they're like, hey, make sure you know how badass she is. Like she just does things that are badass. I'm like, that's badass. But I digress. We're getting.
Well, see, the thing with this list though is that it doesn't say who could be potentially the fastest. This list says the top 25 speedsters. It doesn't say.
Agreed.
Top 25 potential. So I think, if we're going off of potential, Savitar should be number 1, because potentially if Savitar absorbed everybody's speed, including Wally's and Barry's, then he would be the fastest speedster alive.
Yep.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
I liken this to, I was reading or listening to this thing, and it's talking about Tom Brady, right? It's Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time by stats alone, and even now going again. This is being recorded prior to the Super Bowl. The 2021 Super Bowl, but you can have those conversations about like Michael Jordan versus LeBron James and like you can have those conversations about who is the best baseball or basketball or whatever, but the greatest football quarterback of all time is Tom Brady. Now, the only conversation that you can have is whether or not Patrick Mahomes will be a better quarterback than Tom Brady in the future. And so that's kind of an interesting thing. Like that's the interesting. It's like, well,
that's a perfect actually comparison, Trey.
The potential is there, but as of today,
Tom's the man.
Right. And Iris is not the fastest and shouldn't be top 3.
Yep. Iris, Patrick Mahomes, West the second.
Exactly.
Well, moving forward with the list, we are down to the final 2, and it's only befitting that we did it this way. Who sits at number 2, according to this list?
According to this list, Barry Allen sits at number 2. I will understand because in recent comic books, they have said that Wally is faster, where, at the end of Death Metal, they had the little bout and Barry finally has accepted Wally. But the thing that I cannot let go is that they are only doing this to appease fans. This isn't, because when we look at Barry Allen's speeds, Barry Allen created the Speed Force, and it is from continuity that Barry Allen, if without Barry Allen, there would be nothing. There would be no Speed Force. There would be nothing to exist at all. So how are you going to tell me that that's continuity and then all of a sudden Wally's faster? It's because, again, I don't dislike Wally as a character, but they are just trying too hard. Every Flash writer is just trying too hard to make him more relevant than Barry. They're trying to do the same thing that Barry did to J Garrick, but people are not handling it as good as Barry over J Garrick. They don't want, they don't want a lot of people, like I'm in tons of groups, they do not want Barry out of the picture. They want Barry, with Wally as the sidekick again. Wally is not faster than, even though they said it, it does not make sense looking at the feats. It does not make sense whatsoever.
That's fair. No, it's good. He's a great character. I think it's just two different characters. And I think with Jay Garrick, by the time you get to the third Flash, which is Wally West, you created a character. The guys that grew up reading Jay Garrick comics went on to create Barry, and they made him a little bit more personable, something that they could relate to a little bit more. And then even further, and it's the reason that I like Wally West the best. That rhymes. Good for me. Is because he's so relatable. He's a goofy character. He makes these quips all the time, and he's just someone that you can relate to. He doesn't take himself super seriously all the time. And so that's why I like Wally the best. I think at the end of the day, you can say that Wally and Barry are going to be the same, even though they have officially said that Wally is faster. The fact that, you mentioned that Barry created the Speed Force, and, everybody derives their power from the Speed Force, essentially would make him a god. And so it's like, how does that work? Right. I think it's a whole John Connor going back in time type of situation. Like without it wouldn't exist. But then, so I still think that that Wally's faster just because he's done a few different things that Barry hasn't. But again, like you said, it's the writers wanting to appease the fans, and so that's it. I mean, he's outrun the Black Flash. He, I guess Barry did go back in time and cause the greatest thing ever, and then created the New 52 in the process. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'm just a Wally guy. He's number one on this list, everybody, if y'all couldn't tell. He has done a lot of things that that make him the fastest man alive. I don't know. What else you got?
I'm literally just saying that they took all of
Barry's good qualities.
Barry's, yeah, exactly. And they just, again, I'm not trying to downplay the importance of Wally. That's not what I'm trying to do. I just, they took two different characters. When you talk about like Golden Age versus Silver Age Flash, it was two different characters. And now when you're looking at what they're doing between Wally and Barry, it's not really that much of a difference. Other than he makes more smart ass remarks. Like really, he's just the wise guy.
Yeah. Yep.
Wally does appease to a lot more people, but I feel like the Speed Force is one of those things. It's not like Superman. It's not like Wonder Woman who just was born with these powers.
Yeah.
Like Barry has, understanding of what the Speed Force means, especially having caused Flashpoint. Barry has gone through a lot more hardship and trauma than Wally has. And I feel like that's what makes Barry more, like he's obviously in more of control of the, Speed Force. He's more attuned, I guess, I don't know.
I think if you took Flashpoint out of the equation, I think people would side with Wally more. But I think that's the biggest thing that Barry has going for him is Flashpoint. That's arguably the greatest story ever written, to like in my opinion, greatest Flash story for sure. But I think even in DC and even Marvel continuity, I think it's the best story that's ever been written. And I'm sure there's stuff that's out there. I've heard House of X and House of M, all that kind of stuff that's really good too. But I think if you took out Flashpoint from Barry's arsenal, then Wally starts to look a little bit better, and you're like, okay. But again, to me, it's just an evolution, right? You had Jay Garrick, and then you had Barry, and then the writers that were reading Barry Allen stuff are now writing for for Wally's Flash, and so they were like, "Oh, this was really cool. We're gonna make him do it too. Oh, this was really cool. We're gonna make him do it too." So, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I stand. So I'm curious.
That brings me to my question for you guys. Is going to be, all right, give me either your top storyline or your top 3 storylines for either Barry Allen. Okay, so basically showcasing that Barry Allen is Barry Allen is the fastest, or showcasing that Wally is the fastest. So since those are your opinions. So Irvin, you've got the 3 Wally storylines, or however many that you think you need to prove that Wally is the fastest, and then give me your 1, 2, and 3 of storylines, or issues, or whatever, for Barry, to that's basically proving that he is the fastest. Now, because again, this is a long standing series. It's been around for a really long time, and a character that's been around a long time and has been through a bunch of iterations. So try and narrow it down for the listeners to be, okay, I'm going to pick up, these 3 issues or these 3, runs or whatever. And that's what I'm going to use to base my opinion off of, or even a movie or TV show or whatever. I mean, it all derives from
from comics for sure.
So go for it.
Oh, I'm trying to think here. So if I were going to pick the first 6, so you said 3 issues, right? So I mean, the first 6 issues.
That's fine. Just but make it a finite run. Let's hey, read volume 2.
So the first 6 issues of Rebirth would be my top, probably my 3rd pick, and then let's see here. I'm trying to think here. Obviously, Flashpoint being number 1, and then
for any fan that's out there, if you've never read Flashpoint, Trey, I think I have the full, not the full run, because they're do I have the full run? I do, but I have the trade paperback that I could lend you. It's phenomenal. It's just like the movie though. So if you've seen the movie, the animated series, the animated show, it's pretty spot on.
See, that's cool. Okay, so watch Flashpoint. There's one. Watch that instead of, unless you can do both, and that'd be cool too.
Yeah.
And then the Flash, the second ones would be obviously 1, Flashpoint. 2 would be the Flash, The Dastardly Death of the Rogues. It was by Jeff Johns, and it was the first arc with Barry Allen as the Flash. So I think that would be the best 3 for me is, Flashpoint, The Dastardly Death of the Rogues, and then the first 6 issues of Rebirth for me.
Okay, so that's your definitive proves Barry Allen's the greatest thing that ever ran. Irvin, what you got for Wally?
I don't know the issues. I'd have to look it up, and I probably could go back in the post and do it. But with the first thing that came to mind, and it's what we've been saying, is it's 3 generations and then eventually evolving it. At one point, Barry Allen was the only one to escape the Speed Force, and Wally ends up actually doing that as well. So the greatest thing that any speedster had ever done was done by Barry, and then Wally ends up doing the same thing. So it was like, okay, well, that took away from that. I don't know what issue that was. Michael, do you happen to know by chance off the top of your head?
Oh, let me think here. I don't remember. See, I didn't read a lot of the second run. I have all of it, but I haven't read it, so I can't tell you.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. And then the most recent, and Michael was talking about, that's continuity. They did Death Metal. They had that bout, right? And so the Flash War, that storyline saw them put it against each other, and for whatever reason, they had to race, and the one that came out on top was Wally. So that would be my my 2, I guess, if you will. Close race, but it's always
all right. So that being said, so we've got, we'll say 1 and 2, with those being interchangeable, is going to be Barry Allen and Wally West, which is, I think, is pretty much universally agreed upon. Who's your number 3? not outside this list. So who's your number 3? Who comes in right behind them?
Eobard.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we can both agree on that one. Yeah.
Reverse.
Eobard should definitely reverse Flash, the OG, the guy. And it's for the reasons that we talked about earlier. You know, he created his own Speed Force, the negative Speed Force, to counterbalance the regular Speed Force. So kind of a big deal.
Cool. All right. So number 3, OG Reverse Flash. All right, we're just gonna do top 5 though, because we're not going all the way back.
That's fair. Yeah. We're not gonna rearrange that.
So 1, 2 interchangeable. Barry Allen, Wally West. Number 3, Reverse Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, who you got?
Hunter Zolomon, because he's basically, he's as fast as the. I don't want to say he's as fast as the Reverse Flash, but he has, again, we're gonna talk about potential. Mm-hmm. He has the same kind of power, like motivation and drive to destroy the Flash's life, and he's as super intelligent as well. That wouldn't surprise me that he couldn't do the same things as Eobard Thawne did.
So I'm gonna differ, although I do like the pick. I'm gonna go with Godspeed. I think Godspeed should be at that number 4 spot for one of the reasons that you said. You know, he was just a huge character and a huge foe that you know, he had to get backup. What's his name? Number 2. I was gonna say something, but no. A sidekick had to come in and help him out in order to defeat this person, right? And so I think that's a big thing when you have to combine people to defeat a person. So I would go with Godspeed as my number 4 pick, but Hunter's also a solid choice.
And then rounding out the top 5, number 5, who you got?
Godspeed. Godspeed was my number 5, only because he was really new to the Speed Force, and he didn't, you know, he basically, Eobard Thawne snapped his neck. Spoilers at the end of Rebirth. So spoilers there for anybody listening. If you're gonna read Rebirth,
they're never really dead. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
gonna end up being that was a whatchamacallit, a remnant.
It was a robot.
Yeah, it was a robot. Yeah. It's gonna be a remnant. That wasn't the real one, and you know that's what's gonna happen. Watch.
Because he's just too new for me. He's just too new to the Speed Force for me to like solidly. Because 4 and 5 was difficult for me. Because 4, I could put 4 or 5 reversed as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is that Hunter Zolomon has experience with the Speed Force, knows how to use it. And my only problem was that Godspeed, I think they rushed his abilities, because for being the only speedster ever to be at 2 places at once, he had only had the Speed Force for like a week or so at that time. Yeah. So he was too new to the Speed Force for me to solidify him as number 4, but he's definitely my number 5. If we're talking potential, it could be number 3. Could be.
Okay. Irvin, who you got number 5?
Hunter Zolomon, man. It's exactly like you said. I figured that we were going to flop those around. Just a great character, just all around. And I mean, there's nothing else that I could add on that he didn't say. Professor Zoom is you know, an OG foe, and I don't know what else to say, man.
All right, so mine, number 1, trajectory.
Boom.
Because
that's it. You're right.
Unlimited potential, except for when the drugs fail. Then you know that's out. No, yeah, that sounds pretty consistent. And I have a feeling that, you know, the debate will rage on for number 1 and number 2. And then you guys pick the same number 3, which is kind of cool. But then 4 and 5 being reversible as well. So along the same roads, which is actually pretty cool. And we've got some homework, some reading material to brush up on the Flash, and then you can make your decisions too.
Yeah, make sure y'all tell us in the comments what y'all think, guys. We'll end up posting this probably, I don't know, whenever I finish editing it, probably in a couple weeks. But yeah, tell us what you think. Who is your top 3 or top 10 if you really want to get wild? Tell us who your top 10 are, and y'all can tell me that I'm right with Wally West being the fastest. Just kidding. Well, that's going to do us. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We'll catch you on the next episode. And remember, stay nerdy, my friends.